We're just days away from UFC 303, which means it's time for me to break down every single fight on this card, tell you who I think is going to win and how they are going to win. Starting with the first fight of the night, working our way all the way up to the main event, Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. So without further ado, let's get on to the first fight on this card, Ricky Simón versus Vinicius Oliveira. Where are all you guys saying I only pick favorites? Because I'm actually going with Vinicius Oliveira this fight, a 3 times underdog to start the card. Yeah. Ricky Simón's 20-5 coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. Lost to Mario Batista last fight and Song Yadong by KO before that. He's only been KO'd twice before in his career. The first one was to Uriah Faber. But that was a really fast KO. That was round 1, overhand to ground punches. A strong striker can get it done against Ricky Simón, I think. Simón has shown that he's slightly vulnerable on the feet against a very good striker. And Vinicius Oliveira, he really impressed me last fight. He was losing the fight, but he brought it back and got that late third round flying knee over Sopaj. I think he gets it done. I think it would be unwise to pick against him here. He's got all the momentum in the world, the striking prowess, and he knows Simón's game plan is going to be to grapple him. So he's going to be leading with a lot of those knees, pressure in the body of Simón, breaking him down early on. I'm actually going to go with a Vinicius Oliveira late first round KO. I think he gets it done at the end of the first round on the feet. Body knees, front kicks. He's going to be working the body of Simón, and he's going to break him with body strikes and then TKO him on the ground. Vinicius Oliveira, round 1 KO is the first pick of the card. The next fight of the card, we got Ray Saruya versus Carlos Hernandez. So Carlos Hernandez's last fight was a round 2 TKO loss to Tatsuro Taira. His last loss before that was to Alan Nascimento, who tapped him out in the first round. A strong grappler beats this guy pretty easily. Ray Tsuruya, I'm butchering that name, but it's a hard name to say. He's from Road to UFC 12-0 prospect, but it's Road to UFC. They've been checked before, but I don't think Carlos Hernandez will get it done. He gets out-manipulated by the strong grapplers, and who the fuck is Nascimento? And he's beating him in like 50 seconds by like a submission. Saruya is going to get it done. I'm going to go with a Saruya round 1 submission here. That will be the official pick. Next fight up the card, we've got Andrei Arlovsky versus Martin Buday. Why? Martin Buday by decision will be the pick there, and I'm not going to elaborate. Martin Buday by decision will be the pick. Next fight up the card, we've got Michelle Waterson-Gomez versus Jillian Robertson. So Michelle Waterson-Gomez is 18-12. Her last 4 fights were all losses. She's 38 years old at the end of her career. She's just manipulatable. She can't do that much damage on the feet, and she's just kind of there for a check, I think. Jillian Robertson, she's coming off a good win over Polyana Viana, UFC 297, round 2 TKO from Mount. She's going to win this fight. She's going to show her grappling prowess here, and she's going to find a submission over Waterson-Gomez, who's been submitted 4 times before in her career out of 12 losses. Jillian Robertson, round 2 submission will be the official pick here, and I'm pretty confident Robertson's getting that submission. I'm going to be betting that because Robertson is one of those females you can always rely on to just put on her game plan. She's really good on the ground, always, and I am very confident she's winning over Waterson-Gomez. Next fight up the card, we've got Peyton Talbot versus Yanis Gamori. This is a gimme. Yanis Gamori, he did show a little bit of potential, but Peyton Talbot's a minus 1,600 favorite over Gamori. He's getting it done. I'm going to have to side with Talbot by maybe a late round 1 or an early round 2 TKO win here. He's just so dominant on the feet. His last win over Cameron Simon really just proved to me he is able to hang. I maybe undercutted him a bit after his Nick Aguirre fight, where it was like it was a good performance, but he took too long, so I thought maybe there is a really good grappler to exploit him on the ground. He can be exploited, but I just don't think it's Yanis Gamori. I think he's going to get pieced up and he's going to get finished. I'm going to go with a Peyton Talbot round 2 TKO win here will be the official pick. Next fight up the card. We've got Charles Jourdain versus Gene Silva. Charles Jourdain coming off of a decision loss to Sean Woodson back in January, UFC 297. And Gene Silva's coming off of a vicious round 1 KO over Weston Wilson. He was barking at him, and then he finished him big spinning wheel kick and a bit of punches afterwards. Gets it done pretty dominantly. This might be a controversial pick. The line is even, though it's a pick'em. Gene Silva was a bigger underdog a bit earlier, like last week, but I am going to go with Gene Silva here. One thing I've just learned about Charles Jourdain, the more I watch him, the more I pick this guy. You know, he's Canadian. I should be picking him, but I'm not. One thing I've learned about this guy, he just is okay with getting outstruck and losing. He doesn't do that much when he's losing the fight. He lets it get away from him. And then it's the third round and he's down 2 rounds. And what are you going to do? He can't do anything and he loses the third round as well. Yeah, I'm going to go with Gene Silva. I think he could find his chin at some point and catch Charles Jourdain and put him out. And I also think it's pretty dangerous for Charles Jourdain to be on the feet with this guy at any point. He's going to outstrike him. And I'm going to go with Gene Silva by decision. I think he's going to outstrike him all 3 rounds. And if he can just deny some of the grappling transitions, his grappling's not terrible. We haven't seen it yet in the UFC. But I think he wins this decision. I think he puts on the pressure. And Charles Jourdain, as I said, he will fold under the pressure. He will fold under the pressure. Sean Woodson was able to do it. Nathaniel Wood was able to do it. Gene Silva's getting it done. He's going to be barking like a dog at Charles Jourdain. And up in Canada, we don't like dogs barking at us. We're scared of them. We're scared of the big dogs barking at him. Gene Silva, he's a big dog. He's going to be barking. Let me tell you, Gene Silva by decision, that's the pick. Next fight up the card, Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili. So Cub Swanson is coming off a robbery win. He got outstruck every round against Hakeem Dawodu. That was one of the craziest decisions I've ever seen. It kind of got swept under the radar, though. And Andre Fili got knocked out in round 1 by Rob Font, if I remember correctly. Dan Ige, sorry. He got knocked out in round 1 by Dan Ige. And, man, if anyone's going to be able to go a hard 3 rounds, though, and actually put on a game plan, pressure to win this fight, it's going to be Andre Fili coming off of the loss. He's only 34 years old. Cub Swanson's 42. And he lost last fight. Just because it's a W on paper, you go and watch that fight, he didn't win a single round. Yeah, I can't go with Cub Swanson just because his name, just because he was good in the past. I can't go with Cub Swanson. Andre Fili's going to win this fight. By decision will be the official pick. Next fight up the card, we've got Joe Pyfer versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Joe Pyfer coming off of a loss to Jack Hermanson by decision. And Marc-Andre Barriault coming off a loss to Chris Curtis by decision back in January, UFC 297. Joe Pyfer is going to win this fight, guys. I don't think he puts out Marc-Andre Barriault. He's a good chin. He's gritty. He's able to stay in there, grit down his mouthpiece, bite down, and he's able to slug it out in the pocket. But Joe Pyfer, he's got better striking and an inch reach advantage, if that even matters. But Joe Pyfer's going to win this fight, especially coming off of a loss. He's got to get his hype back. I'm going with Joe Pyfer by decision. Please don't chin Marc-Andre Barriault. I like the guy. Joe Pyfer by decision will be the pick. Next fight up the card, a fun one. Ian Gary versus MVP. So Ian Gary coming off a decision win over Jeff Neal, where he was stinking it up, holding him against the cage, circling around, running away from Jeff Neal, it seemed like at moments. And Jeff Neal, as it got into the third round, he was down rounds, didn't do anything to win the fight. Ian Gary won that decision. Very boring fight. MVP, though, this is a different type of fighter. He's coming off of a decision win in his first UFC fight over Kevin Holland. He outstruck him, made him look like a little chump, dropped Kevin Holland. Nobody drops Kevin Holland. And MVP has a 5-inch reach advantage over Ian Gary, who isn't that amazing on the feet. Why are people acting like he's a great striker? Why? I don't understand. MVP is going to light this dude up on the feet. He's not going to have an answer for MVP. He's going to be diving for his legs if he wants to get anything. MVP is going to time a knee. He's going to knock out Ian Gary. I'm telling you, if you're not betting on MVP, it shows how casual you are. You do not understand the level of striker MVP is, and you do not understand the fraud in the making Ian Gary is. He's ready to be knocked out. I've been saying this for at least 2 fights now. MVP's getting it done. Spin. MVP's getting it done. MVP by round 1 KO. Next fight up the card, we've got Moira Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson. So Moira Bueno Silva coming off a decision loss to Raquel Pennington at UFC 297. It was a 5-round decision loss. She maybe looked good in the first round, but then apart from the first round, she looked absolutely terrible. Got out wrestled and literally had no answer for Raquel Pennington later in the fight. Just accepted her defeat of getting out wrestled the entire time. Macy Chiasson coming off a round 1 submission win over Pani Kianzad. But I'd be a fool if I'm telling you if Kianzad's anywhere close to Moira Bueno Silva. Bueno Silva did beat Holly Holm by ninja choke the fight before Raquel Pennington, even though it was overturned. But I don't know, though, because Macy Chiasson was looking good against Irene Aldana before the upkick to the liver of Macy Chiasson. So I don't know, but Moira Bueno Silva is going to win this. I think I'm going to have to go with her, especially coming off the loss. She's going to want to get that back because she had all that hype before, and now people are, oh, it's a fraud check. Oh, she's a nobody. You know what people are after one loss in MMA, but I'm going to have to go with Moira Bueno Silva to win this fight by decision. But Moira Bueno Silva by decision, I guess. I don't know. Moira Bueno Silva by decision. Next fight up the card, Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. By the time the fight starts, it's going to be Imavov versus Cannonier 2, I bet. Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. Anthony Smith coming off of a round 1 submission win over Vitor Petrino. Petrino, I don't know what he was thinking. He literally stuck his head into Anthony Smith's arms and said, yeah, submit me, tap me out. Yeah, I tap. And that was it. Roman Dolidze coming off a 5-round decision loss to Nasruddin Imavov, but that's actually aging pretty well, to be honest. Imavov is still working his way up the rankings, just beat Cannonier, whether you like it or not. He was winning the fight anyways. Dolidze was styled on that fight, though. He was nearly finished early in round 2. Might have been the end of round 1. I can't remember if it was the end of round 1 or the start of round 2, but that Imavov nearly finished him early on that fight and then was just beating him up later in the fight, and then got an illegal knee, but it didn't matter. Dolidze was sticking his face, just doing the age-old tale of failing takedowns and holding it there to like where you almost are forced to throw an illegal knee, you know. But Anthony Smith, I might have to pick him here. Dolidze is shit, man. Dolidze just sucks. I think I'm going to have to go with Anthony Smith to win a decision in a 3-round fight. I think he can win round 1 and 2, and then Dolidze might get a more dominant round 3. Maybe even it goes to a draw. I don't know. Maybe it goes to a draw. But I think I'm going to have to go with Anthony Smith here, man. It could age badly. I could end up looking like a fool here. I never pick Anthony Smith, but this is like battle of the soybeans. I don't know. Battle of the soybeans. I'm going to go with Anthony Smith by decision. Next fight up the card, we got the co-main event of the evening. Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Brian Ortega coming off of, a round 2 submission win over Yair Rodriguez. And Diego Lopez coming off of a amazing round 1 KO win over Sadiq Youssef at UFC 300. We got to ride with Diego Lopez. The hype, the momentum, the age, come on. He is the next in line after he beats Ortega. He's going to fight Topuria. I think he gives problems to Topuria. Call me crazy, but he's looked incredible in his UFC tenure, taking fucking Movsar Evloev to the toughest decision we've seen him in. It was an incredible fight. I knew it then, and I still know now Lopez will be champion one day. And Ortega is a stepping stone in Lopez's resume. Lopez will finish off Ortega. Yair Rodriguez was winning that first round on the feet, but he sucks. But he fumbled that shit. There is something to say. Ortega did apparently hurt his ankle. He stumbled and hurt and sprained or something his ankle 5 minutes before that fight. That's an excuse. That's such an excuse. Diego Lopez is going to finish this guy off. He's going to hurt him on the feet, knock him to the mat, and tap him out. I'm going to go with the Diego Lopez round 1 submission win, which Ortega might not have ever been submitted before, but Yair Rodriguez in that first fight was going to submit him before Ortega's arm popped out of socket. It should have been a submission. It happened in the submission, and he was going to have to tap to that. Lopez is going to finish this guy off. Round 1 submission will be the pick. Lopez round 1 submission. Next fight up the card, we got the main event of the evening, Alex Pereira versus Jiří Procházka. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a pretty scary one for me. Alex Pereira is 10-2 coming off of a round 1 KO win over Jamal Hill at UFC 300. Jiří Procházka is coming off a round 2 KO win over Alexander Rakic at UFC 300. But the stories of those fights are way different. And let me tell you, Pereira took no damage against Jamal Hill. The only damage he has is a pinky toe injury that he came into that fight with. That was back in May. That was like May 13th or something like that. Something like that. So it's nearly a month and a half since then. Jiří got beat the fuck up that first round. His legs got beat up. He was nearly finished. He gets rocked every single fight. That was something that was true 5 fights ago and is still true to this day. He gets hurt every single fight, rocked. Wobbly, cobbly legs, as Lucas Tracy likes to say, wobbly, cobbly legs. But Pereira took no damage that fight. They're both taking the same turnaround. It's not like Pereira's taking a short notice turnaround here. It's both of them. They both accepted it. People might be coping a little bit, saying Jiří always locked himself in a dark room since that UFC 300 loss or UFC 300 fight in preparation. That's bullshit. He's a normal person, just like everyone else on the planet. Alex Pereira is going to have to win this one, I think. I don't think we're seeing a trilogy, guys. I don't think we're living in rainbows and Peachesville. Pereira's going to work that lead leg of Jiří. Those low kicks are going to be the story of this fight. Even though they weren't the first time, even though Pereira didn't have that much success the first fight, he's going to outstrike Jiří. He's going to knock him out in the first round. Jiří gets hurt every single fight. It's not going to be different. Pereira's going to land that lead left hook. And the low kick, you go back to that first fight, one of his fucking low kicks swept Jiří fully off of his feet in the first round. It was like the second low kick he threw. Swept him fully off of his feet and onto the ground. That's because Jiří is so strong on those legs. One kick to the right place is able to sweep him off. Pereira is going to outstrike him. He's going to knock him out. But I am scared because Jiří is dangerous. Pereira's getting old. He's 36 years old. At what point do you get chinned at light heavyweight? I don't know. But Pereira by KO in the first round is going to be the pick. I'm riding Poton. Let's go.